Hey guys, it's Witchy Fingers again. I'm using the 31 peg round loom. I believe it's Nifty Knitter. And what I'm doing is a scarf flat panel. So this is a brand new stitch that I created. It has a little bit of kind of like a lace effect with a bit of a twist. So here we go. So what I've done is I've E-wrapped 18 pegs. So we're going to start from the little stitch holder here. First peg to the left will be your first peg, and I E-wrapped all the way around to 18 pegs. Then what I've done is I went back, okay, E-wrapped back, and then I yarned over to create a knit stitch, which we find at the bottom here of the scarf. Okay, and this is what the pattern looks like. And what I'm using is a chunky yarn will blend in it. We'll go on to the pattern, starting the pattern. So what I've done is I've knit the first peg, knit the second peg, like so. I go to the fourth peg, I lift it up with my hook, and I carry it onto the third peg. So now you have 2 loops on the third peg. Fourth peg is empty. I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm going to purl the 2 loops that are on the third peg off the hook, off the peg, sorry, and then place the loop back onto the third peg like so. The empty peg here, we're just going to E-wrap it. Okay, and then we're going to carry the working yarn onto the next peg. And we're going to knit 2, skip the next peg, grab the loop from the following peg, lift it off, carry it over to the previous peg. Okay, we're going to purl off the 2 loops. Like so. E-wrap. Carry on to the next peg. Knit off. Knit the next peg. Skip this peg. Grab the loop off of this peg. Carry it over to the previous peg. So now you have 2 loops again. Grab your working yarn, purl these 2 loops off the peg, place the loop back on. It leaves you with an empty peg. You wrap the empty peg, knit the adjacent peg. You're going to knit 2, so skip a peg, go to the peg following, pick up the loop, carry it over to the previous peg. So you have 2 pegs, 2 loops on the peg, and 1 empty peg. Take your working yarn. We're going to purl off. Place the loop back on securely. E-wrap the empty peg. And then we're going to knit off the last 2 loops. So basically you're doing a repeat all the way down. If you want to make this larger, you have to make sure that you're casting on a total of 4 pegs plus 2. So anything around there. Again, I only cast on 18. And then what you do at the end, when you reach your last 18th peg, you do a flat panel. So I usually leave the last peg. Okay, I don't work it, and I just take my working yarn, bring it forward, and then all I do is I knit across down to peg number 1. I knit all the way back down. Okay, so we're down to peg number 1. We're going to repeat again. That basically completes your round. So what I do is I just grab my fingers and I tuck my work down like this. Since we're doing a flat panel, we're not going to work the first stitch. We're just going to carry the working yarn forward. Okay, on the second peg, you're going to bring the working yarn forward on top of the stitch, the loop, and we're going to knit off. Knit 1, because this one counts as a 1 right here. So it'll be 1, 2 knit, skip peg 3, grab the loop from peg 4 with your hook, pull it off. With your hook, place it onto peg number 3. So on peg number 3, now you have 2 loops. You're going to take your working yarn, and we're going to purl both loops off of peg number 3, like so. And place the loop back onto peg number 3 after we purl the 2 loops. Peg number 4 is empty, so we're going to take our working yarn, go to the back of the peg, and E-wrap it. We're going to take the working yarn, we're going to knit peg number 5. I'm going to knit it off. I'm going to knit peg number 6. Peg 7 we skip. Go to peg number 8, take the loop off of peg number 8. Carry it over to peg number 7, like so. Take your working yarn, we're going to purl these 2 loops off of peg number 7. Okay. Take your working yarn, peg number 8, we're going to go to the back of peg number 8. We're going to E-wrap it like so. Okay. Take your working yarn forward onto peg number 9, and we're going to knit off peg number 9. Peg number 10, we're going to knit off peg number 10. Peg 11 we skip. Peg 12, take the loop. Take it off of peg 12. Place the loop from peg 12 onto peg number 11. So now you have 2 loops on peg 11. Take your working yarn, we're going to purl off the loops off of peg number 11. Place the loop back onto peg 11. Take your working yarn, carried it to the back of peg 12. We're going to E-wrap it. Peg 13, we're going to knit off the loop. Peg 14, we're going to knit off the loop. Peg 15, we're going to ignore. Peg 16, grab the loop off of peg 16. Carry it over to peg 15. You have 2 loops. Take your working yarn forward on peg 15. Take the loops and purl off. Place the loop back on peg 15. Peg 16 is empty. We're going to take your working yarn, carry it to the back of peg 16 and E-wrap it. Knit off peg 17 and knit off peg 18. Okay, and then what I do is I tuck again all my work down, all the loops down, and what you do is you knit all the way back. So we're going to ignore the last peg 18. We're not going to do anything to it. We're going to knit off from 17 all the way down to peg number 1, and then you start the pattern again. Okay, so you work your stitch and then you knit back, work your stitch and knit back, and that's how you get this beautiful pattern that you see here.